Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, wherever you are across the world. Welcome back to the league by Foxxtecca. It's week number 5, and we are back on American soil here at Watkins Glen. What a fantastic, iconic circuit this is. One of America's best, in my opinion. We're in for some great action looking at these timings at the moment. I'm your commentator, Matthew Duffin, joined in the commentary box by Tristan Herbst, and I hope I've got that one right because I've just been practicing a little bit off air. We're also joined by Chris Harris as well, and our producer bringing you all the action, replays, and the drama on the circuit. Jim Cunningham in the background. You won't be able to hear him. He'll be bringing you all the dramas on this circuit. Tristan, Watkins Glen. What a circuit to be at for week number 5. We enter the back half of this championship this week, and it's going to be another fantastic race tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. The Glen is one of the inaugural races that loads of people have always known about. And it's definitely one of those races that everybody's definitely experienced at least once in their life, even if it's not even on the iRacing platform. There's multiple different gaming genres and racing platforms that actually host this track. And, it's one of the more common ones that you see, but it's also one of the more, the tracks that people actually enjoy a lot more. It's definitely one of the tracks that I enjoy a lot more. It's a super fun track, and it really does challenge you up and down the hills of here. Loads of gradient as well here at the American track. And we're really looking to go into quite an interesting round today. Remember, it's the first round where drop rounds have been initiated. Now that 4 rounds has been completed, meaning that the lowest scoring round for each driver will be dropped off of their scorecard. So it gives them a little bit of motivation coming into round 5 of the year. So super excited to see what we can do. We're joined once again, like we mentioned, by Chris. Chris, how are you feeling today coming onto the American soil here back at Watkins Glen?
I feel good, and I'm a New Yorker, so just selfishly, it's excited to be in New York virtually for a race. And as you said, the Glen. I mean, this is a super famous track. I mean, from the original days of like Gran Turismo all the way to now, this is a track that everybody's kind of been a part of, and it's exciting to see the talk from a lot of the drivers that they enjoy this track and are familiar with it. So I think that's going to lead to a lot of great racing, and hopefully we'll see the continued action we've been seeing for the past 4 weeks.
You can see the championship standings on your screen right now. Balazs Pala is the man who has taken the championship lead from Michael Polasek. At this current moment in time, Alexei Nesov not here again tonight, it looks like, on the timing tower at the moment. He's P3 with David Toth in P4. Colin Queen's P5 from Zane Khan, Tyler Campbell, Andre Castro, Alessandro Torchio, and then Nicholas Laubish, the man on the move last week, rounding out the top 10. But Tristan, the talk was all about the Hungarian drivers, wasn't it, last week? We saw the team strategies of using each other for a slipstream and the way they was racing through the pack, sort of helping each other get through the field. Real big talking point last week, and going forward it's going to be a lot different tonight because it's a completely different circuit to Monza. They're not going to be able to sort of use them same strategies to help each other through this one.
Yeah, absolutely. The team strategies being pulled last week at Monza were absolutely insane. I mean, we saw constant switchback from the 2 Hungarian teammates, and they really did make it work. I mean, I would have been petrified to be stuck in that Hungarian sandwich because they really knew how to make it swift work around anybody contesting them for first and second place. And I mean, that's exactly what they did. Looking back at last week, race 1 and race 2. Race 1, David Toth took first, Balazs Pala took second. And then in race 2, Balazs Pala took first and David Toth took third. So you can see for both races, both drivers actually staying quite consistent, nicely in the podium there. And that really does paint to the fact of the constant team switches that they brought around. And sorry to say if anybody who's also scared of Hungarian drivers, because they're currently sitting at the top of the timing board for practice with 5 minutes left. A good while ahead, Gregory Hooverson is contesting once again, though, for the podium. And I think it's really going to be a good contestation here for the podium.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Sorry. Like the tag team champions of the world here. I think hopefully some guys made some offline deals to be teammates and kind of battled with these guys through the pack, because I know I'd be trying to do that.
Indeed. So it was a great week last week at Monza, and just a reminder for everybody, there's a little week break in the calendar next week, so there will be no League by Foxxtecca next Tuesday for us all. It will be back the week after, in which we end on 3 completely different but fantastic circuits. We go to Mount Panorama of Bathurst on the 17th of September. We then have round 7 of Okayama International Circuit, and then we finish at Road Atlanta back on American soil on week 8. That'll be on the 1st of October. So all 3 tracks that are coming up after this little week's break that we've got are completely different from each other. That's the beauty of this calendar, isn't it, Chris? Because really these tracks have been so unique this season that you can't really get into a rhythm of one circuit because the next one is completely different.
100%. It's like characters in a movie, right? Like you go through one door and it's one character, and then the next race you have a whole nother type of character to battle, and I love it. And the way it's set up, hats off to you guys at Apex Racing, really setting up an awesome calendar for us, and it's playing a big part in the series, and that's what I want, man. I want guys to be on their toes, guys and girls to be on their toes.
Indeed, we've got 34 cars in for tonight's race. It looks like, Tristan. Going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Obviously, the practice times don't necessarily replicate what will happen in the race or the qualifying. Drivers may have done it on different fuels just to see how the car feels. So practice at the moment, we can kind of take a little bit from it, but not the whole amount at the moment.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think there's a couple of loose ends that need to be tied just in practice. Obviously, we've got the fiercely forward driver down there, Nicholas Laubush. We spoke about him just a bit earlier from his fight up in the pack towards Monza. So he's sitting 29th right now with a 1:45.1. And I don't know. I genuinely don't think that's going to be his time. I feel like he's sandbagging a little bit here in the practice session. Just to, lower the expectations, and probably going to be able to bring it up a little bit towards qualifying and just see what he can do in this next race. We saw how insane it was, and I mean, he probably is running a bit of a fuel here in this practice, just to feel the car throughout the whole race and not just focusing on the qualifying. So it's also good to plan ahead and provision for how the race is going to go. But we're hoping for a little bit less contact here compared to what we saw last week and the week before. It all just comes down to how these drivers tackle the corners here at the Glen.
Yeah, and I suppose the biggest corner to tackle, especially at the start, is that of the S. As we can see, a great shot looking down from the top of the S's there. That's going to be the one on the opening laps of these races where the drivers have got to battle. But it is obviously the Grand Prix circuit with the inner loops. That's like the chicane almost, where again the S is into that back straight into the inner loop. Could be a few dramas on that opening lap and a beautiful shot down the S's there. But almost like an El Rouge type corner.
Yeah, definitely similar to Eau Rouge that we see on Spa. And it does play into the fact of how these drivers have to tackle this track. And one thing to definitely note here, definitely from personal experience that I've felt across any platform that you race on, is everybody is going to need to watch out on that timing tower for the black flag penalties, because track limits are very easy to break at Watkins Glen. The curbs are very misleading, as well as that white line that lets you know when you're out of that track limit. And oftentimes, you're just trying to pull as much speed as possible, and you don't realize how far that car has actually drifted out left or right. And by then, it's actually just too late, and you've veered off completely off track. And that's a 1x for you, or even a 2x, depending on how severe it is. And yeah, we might see an unfortunate amount of black flag penalties. So keep your eyes peeled for that as we head into qualifying now. And we'll see what the drivers can do out on track.
It's going to be an interesting one. The rain stayed away, Chris. That was the talking point, wasn't it, with some of the interviews last week, that there was rain around, and the chance of rain on the weather that Sam had posted earlier in the week says there's no chance of rain. So it looks like the weather has stayed away for this race, which would have added an extra bit of drama, I suppose. But, we look like we're in for a dry session. That seems to be the way this is going to go. So what can the drivers expect, Chris, from the Glen, obviously being a New Yorker yourself?
I mean, one, I wish for rain. I guess I should do my rain dance to see if we can get something going mid-race, because it's always fun for the drama. I think it's gonna be interesting. You're gonna see a lot of strategic just turns here that there's a lot of passing opportunities and a lot of turning, and then you have some high speed areas as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see where people pick and choose to make their moves. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of strategy in this.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Qualifying gets underway right now then, and this is going to be the interesting qualifying. Track position is going to be absolutely key, because with 34 cars out on the circuit, not a lot of room while drivers are all coming out at the same time to get a good run, and track position around here could be key in this qualifying session.
Yeah, no, we've got a couple of bunches that you can already see forming just coming out of the pit lane over there. So there's going to be a little bit of cooperation needed from the drivers here just to try and manage expectancies around the track and not pile on top of each other coming into the final couple of corners, because that's where you want to generate a bit of that gap and a little bit of speed just to give yourself a little bit more consistency and a little bit more confidence. Because, I mean, to think of it, what would happen going into a qualifying lap when you're 3/10 in front of a car and 3/10 behind the car, and you're kind of stuck in this continuous sandwich where your time is solely dependent on the cars around you and their pace. So, you know, the main objective that you're wanting for a qualifying session is to just try find that breathing room and just get that whole little pocket of air and try and get that lap time in as fast as possible and try and make it as clean as possible without, you know, interfering with anybody else around you. And so that's the objective you have for every driver tonight.
Just seen Andre Castro there just pull off down at the bottom end of the circuit there just to get out of the way. Look like he's obviously had a bit of an issue, which he's rejoined and carries back on his way. This is going to be the interesting one, isn't it, with that track position, that little bit of time that you need to gain. Because unlike Monza, the slipstream isn't going to be as effective around here. Maybe you'll, you know, get a run out the S's into the inner loop. Apart from that, it's corner after corner, and they come up pretty quickly, and change of direction could be the key. So track position could be an interesting one, as we're currently on board with one of our Hungarian drivers. This is David Toth, who looks like he's leading the pack away that's behind him at the moment. Bit of a slipstream just behind, a bit of a hole being punched in the air for that of Pala behind him. Not too close, though, and this is what you're seeing compared to Monza. Monza, pretty close to each other, using that full effect of the slipstream to get the momentum down the straights here. Bit more of a breathing room for the two teammates here. And what we have to mention is when we say teammates, they're obviously part of the same team, same stable, faction, whatever you want to call it. There is no team there is no team points, there is no team championship in play for this series here in Season 1. But obviously you will see maybe the team game come into play throughout the night. This is what we mean about the track limits. You can easily run over the curbs and take some very wide lines in which you may think may be track limits and they're running too wide. Watkins Glen can be a little forgiving, especially the outside of turn 1 and the corner we've just seen coming uphill.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how the car is taking a lot more curb than you would usually see on a normal track, because, I mean, it's obviously been extended just to try and get a little bit more lap time in compared to normal tracks. And so that's something, as a viewer, you don't have to be too worried about, but it also comes down to the driver consistency, because if they step out just a little bit too much from their usual spot, as you can see, turn 1, it goes way over the curb, and that's actually the legal track limit here. For example, that car in the background there looked like Gregory Hooverson. That was completely out of line, and that was definitely out of track limit. But what the two Hungarian drivers did over here was perfectly fine and in the track limit. Another talking point that we're really going to have to watch out for in this race is the chicane coming up ahead, the inaugural known chicane at Watkins Glen that can really make or break your race. If you take the chicane wrong, and as you can see how these cars absolutely mount the curbs here, if you take that chicane wrong on entry or exit, that could be the end of your race. If you do not manage that bounce correctly, we've seen it where cars bounce left and right, coming out of those curves, just debouncing the suspension at the incorrect time, and you don't really have much time to react in a situation like that. So definitely a key point to watch out for when we head to the race.
Just coming up through toe at the moment in towards the straight of the called the boot, down in towards heel. Chris, this is going to be an interesting one, isn't it, tonight? Like Tristan was just saying, the chicane, the inner loop especially, them curbs, they're also slightly raised as you hit them. So they're not just flat curbs, slightly raised, and it is easy to lose the car on them curbs.
Yeah, and I think, you know, all of our drivers, we might have recruited them from WWE because they like to fight, and so there's going to be a lot of bumping and shoving. It's going to be interesting to see how this all goes.
Yeah, guys, I've got 50 cents that we're still gonna see two going wide through that inner loop chicane.
Yeah, I think that one we're gonna see some crazy manoeuvres up the S's. The S's, you get a good run as well. If you get the S's right, you get a good launch down towards the inner loop as Toth goes provisional pole from Pala now into second place. The two Hungarians topping the timing screen. Hooverson moves up into P4. So we're seeing some lap time starting to improve. Takes a couple of laps, Tristan, for these tyres and cars to get into their optimal window in this qualifying session.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen it throughout the season here for, season 1 of the league by Foxxtecca, that the McLarens do take a little bit of time to get, the air running through the tires and just getting those grip levels up to a good optimal standard that can be classified as race and qualifying ready. So you'll notice that as the drivers persuade around track over here, the first lap will always be quite slow. but second and third lap, especially with traffic management, if you do it well, can be some of the fastest times you set. For example, Toth, now with a 43 flat almost, that is an incredibly fast time around here in the McLaren. I mean, you can see almost 2/10 ahead of his own teammate. And then look at the gap actually from Pala to Karen. There's another 10th and a half over there from Pala to Karen. So, I mean, Toth right now is holding a really steady stride over there in first. And he's really managed to find all possible grip points here in the McLaren. So we'll have to see, can he hold it for race 1 into turn 1? Because it is also an inaugural place to try and dive into turn 1. Yeah. We did mention that exit curve is nice and wide on track limit. So we might have a couple of Johnny Bravos wanting to stick their nose in.
Indeed, we might. A good gap at the minute for Top front. This is Mike Man at the moment coming down the boot. The ambient temperature 24 degrees ambient, 33 degrees track temperature. So pretty hot track out there at the moment. As Mike Man just looking to get past the. Is that the Foxxtecca car in front? It is, I believe, as well as King goes up into 7th place. Mike Man on a lap, Souza now moves up into P8. Roberts moving up into P9. So we're seeing them lap times just starting to improve here. But a 33 degree Celsius track temperature, what is that going to do for these McLarens out there? Because it's pretty warm.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's definitely going to play into the fact of how grip drops and increases. Oh, a couple of wall bangs, and that's also something we're going to see a lot. I've experienced it a lot in GT3 racing, where you just try and push the car as much as you can on that exit and try and pull as much speed as possible. And that wall says, listen, buddy, you cannot go any further than this. I'm going to de-bounce you back right into the racetrack. And we see that a lot. But absolutely, the temperature does play a huge effect here. And I mean, we've seen it actually on a couple of the American circuits, such as Road America and a couple of the further ones like Sebring, where track temp really does play to how the McLaren handles itself out on track.
So that then is Andre Castro going up into 15th place, getting his first lap time on the board then in this session, coming into the final runs really of this qualifying session here at Watkins Glen. Kamari Odom is the only driver not to set a lap time, only driver not to go out on track at the moment. Nicholas Laubish is in the pit lane, so he will not get a lap time on the board in this session. He's going to run out of time to get one in, so he's going to start down the order. Zohair Ahmed, Michael Polasek, then Andrew Yun and Alan Ware, also yet to set a lap time. Polasek not setting a lap time. He's on his 4th lap now, as that is Castro going well off at the inner loop and a big shunt into the wall. Hold them brakes, and I think he's just managed to stay off the circuit or wide enough that he's not going to be in anybody's way. And there is Polasek, as I was about to mention him. He moved up into P5, so shoots right up the order, and he's done 1 lap, and that is the end of his qualifying.
This is the second time now that we've seen Laubish. I don't know if he's choosing not to qualify. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, Chris, but this is now the second race where Laubish has decided to stay in pits and actually not set a lap time. Do you think this is a strategy he's pulling, or maybe, just to have some fun from the back, possibly?
Could be a strategy. He might be having some cappuccino, or actually he's having some of the roasted record in the pits, just watching everybody go around. And then he just wants to go out there and start, like that, right? Just go out there and start clipping off people one by one. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to see what he can do when he comes out on track. But now we have 10 seconds left of qualifying. It looks like we've got a pretty solid board set up so far. Toth has topped off once again, though. Another 1.5 tenths down on that time, breaking the 43s into the 42s. So incredible pace being shown around here. But just before we head into the race, like Chris mentioned, a massive shout out to the official fuel sponsor here of the league by Foxxtecca, Roasted Records. And I believe they've got 2 drivers also participating in this series, and just providing that energy for some of these drivers to wake up early, or even just in the afternoon or late nights, to come and send the McLaren around track, as well as the African American Automotive Association. Loads of huge sponsorships here, just making the league by Foxxtecca possible. But going through our running order here, for first place, David Toth takes it off in first, with Ballas Palla in second. Andrew Curran follows him off in suit in third, with Gregory Hooverson in fourth. It's a Canadian second row. Zane Smith in fifth, with Michael Polasek in sixth. It's an American third row, and then with Nick DePaula in seventh, Alessandro Torchio in eighth, with Russell Soto finishing quite nice and high up there and qualifying in ninth, with Thomas Critchell in 10th, Tyler Campbell in 11th, and Tyler King wraps up the top 12.
Predict that we might get Maybe let's see how many laps it takes for them to try and go 3 wide in the chicane.
I'm
That'll be
going
good.
to predict lap one, Chris. So if I'm going to be honest, I think
Yeah,
we could
same.
get it on the open lap. Cameron Brown, P13 with Lucas Souza, 14th place. Tyler Roberts, 15th from Carl Robertson. Andre Castro alongside Chris Wetz. Then it's Jesse Laverin in P19. Miles Brown from Anthony Cuthbert. Anthony Jenkins will line up alongside him. And then it's Xavier Bulliner and Jack Lindner bringing up the top 24. Kingston Mullings 25th from Hayden Swank. Alan Ware from Mike Manning 28th. Lewis Holloway and Ryan Woodside alongside each other. 31st for Jonathan Lauras. Then it's Cam Carraway from Zohair Ahmad. Nicholas Laubish, Andrew Young and Kamari Odom rounding out the back of the grid then. 34 cars around the Glen. I'm predicting 2 wide up the S's, 3, maybe even somebody might look to make it 4 wide into the inner loop. But this is going to be an interesting start to this race. Full formation lap today to get us underway here at Watkins Glen. Beautiful, beautiful day. Warm track temperature. And let's see what we're going to get on this opening 25-minute race of the evening.
Yeah, I think race 1 is really going to play into how we need to take our expectations into race 2. It's obviously a very different circuit from Monza like we saw last week. Monza was a slipstream haven. And if you weren't in that slipstream, you were losing out major time. But this is a very different track. This is a track where technicality and skill is really going to be your driving power to how you can manage yourself around track here. Like we mentioned, the curbs are high, the track limits are odd compared to normal track circumstances. And so it's all going to come down to track knowledge and how the drivers can manage themselves in the McLaren 720S over here. Because, once again, it's not the easiest car to drive. Chris has not picked the easiest car for these drivers to take their test runs out on here for season 1, and a couple of them have really started to mention that the McLaren has not been their favorite pick. A couple of them are really mentioning that they enjoy the McLaren, but for me personally as well, McLaren has been one of the more difficult GT3s to drive from your easier picks like the McLaren, the BMW M4 and stuff like that. But definitely still following suit. This is going to be an interesting race here for race 1, and now the drivers brake dragging, trying to get those tires warm. We'll see how it goes though for the remainder of the formation lap.
Like that is not easy. I mean, it's definitely polarizing where people either love it or hate it. But I think one thing that is really done is help neutralize some of maybe the more talented drivers and make them work a little harder versus just running away with this, because they really have to figure out how to muscle this car. And so I like it. I love some of the crying about it. I love some of the people cheering about it. So it's another main character in this saga that we call the league.
It's stepping out of your comfort zone if you're not a McLaren driver in the GT3 categories, isn't it, Chris? And that's the main reason, isn't it? Let's get drivers, we've got a mixed ability grid in terms of the levels of some of these drivers. Why not throw some of them that don't like the McLaren into something that's just going to make them work harder for it?
100%. And big shout out to the guys who don't like it and decided to jump in and give it a try, because that really shows how within this competition they're trying to sharpen their skills and push themselves to the limit against these full fields of sometimes over 40 plus cars. So I'm loving it all this season.
I mean, I think we heard I think we heard actually 1 or 2 of the drivers actually bought the car on the same day that the league was actually starting. So I mean, also just a reference to how some of the drivers take this, some really taking that preseason warm-up seriously, and others just coming in here and seeing what they can do. But over to you, Matthew, for the start of this very, hopefully, not too intense race.
So we come into the 3 corners now, or the 2 corners with no names to them. The final corner, a very tricky one to get right. You can hit that outside pit wall, as Tristan mentioned earlier. But for race number 1, let's not forget, finishing order for that top 8 gets inverted for the start of race 2. So where you finish could be important for the start of race 2. But the safety car pulls into the pit lane now, and we are about to go green here for the first race of the evening, week 5 at the League by Foxxtecca at Watkins Glen. Is green and go. Already some dramas in the background, 3 or 4, even if not 5 wide in the background, but the leaders have all settled into a single file. The 2 Hungarians go single abreast through the 90, turn number 1, as they all filter through, nice and comfortable through the first corner. Now to the top of the S's. This is where it could get interesting. Look out for Pala with his launch through the S's in that slipstream, really tucking underneath the rear wing of Toth. coming up through the S's. A yellow flag for Robertson. We're seeing down the order. Now watch. Will Pala look to pull out on the inside of the inner loop? Drama's in the background at the top of the S's. Little bit of carnage. Nothing too major. Looks like a few of the drivers have got away with it. And no, Pala didn't make use of that slingshot on that launch coming up the hill. And there has been contact at the S's there. That's one of the cars. Another one in the background coming across the grass. But someone lost a rear bumper through the S's there. And this is Cuthbert down in P18. But the leaders all got away pretty well. Hooverson and Karen still going with the top two.
My goodness, what a launch of a race we had there. We saw a couple of drivers really taking it a little bit too heroic there into turn one. Almost 5 wide there, I saw with one of those red McLarens up on the inside. But thankfully, everybody following suit and tucking in nicely into a 1 or 2 line formation. And like you mentioned, the leaders have really pulled away now. David Toth with Pala are going to start to pull away with each other and actually give each other a little bit more momentum compared to the drivers behind. Hooverson and Karen, both the Canadian drivers, will also want to try and stay in this fight, though, because this is currently the 2 fastest drivers out on track, Toth and Pala. Obviously, we mentioned that Nesov is not here, also one of the faster drivers here at the league. And he's missing out on the action tonight because currently the top 5 is looking to be a very intense race here today. Everybody following suit, as you can see, and making sure that they don't bang that outside wall and making sure they can find any form of speed around here. There's a couple of movement, though, in the back because Roberts is falling fast off the grid, down in 22nd. And that's definitely something happened. He's coming to the pit lane, obviously due to some form of incident that's happened, but not too bad of a start. I know we saw a little bit of incidents there in the inner loop and up the S's, but thankfully not too much carnage, no meatball flags, and we're on and out away for lap 2.
Polasek having the run up through the S's, looking to the outside, now tucks to the inside as we come to the inner loop on Zane Smith here. Polasek looking to get that move done, breaks a little later and gets it done on the inner loop. Smith did not want any port, has put Torchio on the back of him. This is for P5, 6 and 7 at the moment out there on the circuit. Round the outer loop, down the chute they go. And a good move from Polasek there, and that is the advantage up the S as you get in towards that inner loop. Torchio now looking for a manoeuvre as well, but we have got a few drivers in the pits where Yun have pitted. Laubish is actually not moving. It doesn't say he's in the pit lane, but he's not moving out there on the circuit at the moment, so I don't know if he's still with us or if he's retired from this race. Cameron Brown now into the pits as well. But at the minute, a good start from Toth. He's going to want to try and claw some championship points back over Pala in this one as they come through the boot for the second time in this race. This is Souza, and a bit of a sandwich here between Robertson and Castro down in 11th, 12th and 13th. And Robertson in that green and black car, and that's a big lunge up the inside from Castro. That's a great manoeuvre. Saw the gap, went for it, got it done.
Absolutely insane dive of the inside there. Yeah, go for it, Chris.
I said he wasn't happy. Souza didn't like that too much, flashing the lights on him.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, I suppose this is racing and it's GT3 racing at note. In a 25-minute race, you have to take those moments that you notice. But we do also have a long fight currently. The battle for 17th is escalating with Jack Lind and Anthony Cuthbert now switching around roles. And there seems to be quite a bit of a train building up. You can see Jenkins and Mullings also now switching positions. So the train is fighting a lot. Tyler King now with a huge bumper mismatch over there, trying to hold off. And there's another car there holding off on that front bumper, just being disappeared. And the fight up towards the S's now. A couple of damaged McLarens heading up. Oh, massive damage. And unfortunately, a little bit of a miscommunication there. What on earth did we just see up the S's?
Well, there was a slow car just as Rain Woodside there, and I believe it was, I can't remember who the orange car was in the background that's slow. That's that white car there, silver car, was very slow up the S's. And that's caught one of them out as they've come over the brow of the hill. Hopefully we'll get a replay of what's just happened to them cars there. That was a bit of chaos. This is Kyle Robertson now. He's lost out to Castro over the course of this lap. But a slow car up the S's, that's what will happen if drivers aren't aware. Obviously, it's a bit difficult to see as you come over the brow of the hill. They've just been caught out there, and huge damage to them cars now. We may see a few more return back to the pit lane in this one. We'll try and get a replay in a few moments' time for you there. But Castro at the moment ahead of Robertson. This is Souza on the back of Robertson. He's now looking to do what Castro did to him a lap ago, and Robertson shuts the door and says no thank you as the lights come on, and another flash of the lights from Souza there. Clearly unhappy at that corner. See nothing wrong with anything there, to be fair, with what Robertson did. It was all good at this time. Then they head round the final corner to start the fourth lap. This is what happened then up through the S's. So if we look, oh no, this is in a loop. This is Rain Woodside through the inner loop. I think we're just going to cut this on. So this is earlier on in the race. That's a car off in front. See no rear bumper on that car. That is who I think he was fighting with on the outer loop. We'll try and bring you what happened up the S's. Here we go then. So Rain Woodside still with that car look. Now watch at the top of the SA. There's the slow car. Oh, pulls right onto the racing line. Right onto the racing line. The orange car was very slow in order to not hit the back of the silver car that pulled along.
And it almost happened again. My goodness, it almost happened again over there. We've got one of the cars sifting through traffic. And my goodness, so unfortunate there. That looked to be one of the white-silver Foxxtecca cars that was going a little bit slow up the S's there. Obviously, a little bit of an odd approach up on the entrance and just losing all of his speed. And that was enough to cause the damage. As Rain Woodside, you can see it from his perspective, what he saw. Massive dive out of this, and just orange McLaren. My goodness, papaya up in your face. And that's all you get to see. And right off of the racing line over there, we didn't get to see if the car in front there, which driver that was, who actually went slow. But I believe, from what I could see, it was one of the Foxxtecca cars. Not 100% entirely sure, but now back on board with Lucas Souza. Not a very happy driver that we've seen so far with Kyle Robertson and Andre Castro. He's been flashing his lights up and down here. Just not happy with how they've managed the traffic and gotten past him. We saw obviously Castro got a massive lunge a few laps ago and managed to take both these cars in one foul swift move. And now Souza really trying to fight back up this pack a little bit further. The Brown and Wets are also fighting each other for 14th and 15th, and now coming down, you can see the slipstreams there. It's very minimal compared to what we saw at Monza, so it means that Souza is going to have to fight a little bit harder compared to what he would have had to at Monza. But now the fight continues. Lap 5, 7 minutes into this race.
Watch for Souza now, getting the run up the S's, using that slipstream. Not as effective, but the launch from the S's in towards that inner loop could be great. Really tucks under the rear wing. Robertson kind of sits it in the middle of the road. Makes Souza choose which way he wants to go. He's going to look to the inside of the inner loop. Is he alongside enough? Nearly not enough this time around, though. So Souza trying to get that door open. Didn't quite there. And the top four out front, by the way. Toff from Pala, from Hooverson, from Karen. All still pretty much close together. So that's interesting. Holloway moves ahead of Ahmed. In fact, Ahmed gets him back down in 21st and 22nd. But this is the top four. Chris, still all together. Anybody's game at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of pulling away from the rest of the pack, creating their little group. And we kind of saw that last week, too. They were battling, especially in the second race. So we know how that ended. So we'll see what happens here in race 1.
Yeah, Hooverson was in that. Oh, sorry, Tristan, go on.
No, all stress. I was just saying it's absolutely what we saw last week. Unfortunately, the lead pack did start to pull a little bit away from the rest of the pack, but the fighting still continues further down. Campbell and Ahmad, this is Campbell and Mullings fighting each other quite hard now. Campbell looking to dive up in the inside line. Will he get the space? And that actually doesn't matter if he gets the space. He takes the late break. Is it going to be hold enough, though, for him to keep the position on Mullings? Mullings now looking on the outside line. Will he be able to hold it off? He gathers the inside line going into the final couple of corners here and makes the position stick for 19th. And as you can see a little bit further back there is one of the damaged McLarens. I believe that's Ahmad or Holloway, who is also involved in one of the bigger incidents a little bit further back. But continuing on the track now, 9 minutes into the race. We're just about to break the 15-minute barrier left. And the race is still escalating. Wets is right on the back of Brown. And the top four are still all within 4 to 3 tenths of each other. So keep an eye out there on the timings board, because it is going to be a switch around coming into the next couple of laps. I think we might have lost Matthew there, not too sure. But just continuing a little bit further on, as you can just see now, Nick DePaula fighting on with Soto a little bit further behind him, just trying to find headway and trying to find out how now can Paula hold the position just in front. They've got a slightly slower car ahead there of Critchell, just coming up the uphill right-hander. Will it be enough for them to hold as Nick DePaula holds off from Soto behind?
He does at the moment, P9 and 10 with Critchell there. That's a back marker getting out the way. And Critchell trying to use him as a slipstream. I think the back marker went a little slow, so trying to use that slipstream to his advantage. Not really sure that's going to have worked out for him. He's possibly lost a bit of time, just a tenth or two, trying to do that. But either way, Critchell still ahead of DePaula at the moment, with Soto sat in P10. Thus far, Critchell at the moment will be provisional pole position for that second race with the top 8 inverted. The rest of the grid are sorted out by race positions in this first race. That is another slow car with a missing front bumper. This is Holloway on the back of Ahmed at the moment then. So Ahmed has been in the wars somewhere. And the WD-40 car is going to need a bit more than WD-40 to repair that McLaren in front of it. You can see nowhere Ahmed at the moment trying to fend off. We saw a few cars last week, didn't we, with the bumpers missing. You saw how much they was affected by that aero lost performance. It's not going to hurt them as much around here. And Ahmed at the minute holding on over that of Holloway.
Man, look at that front right tyre. My goodness. The camber and the right shift. Look at how it is literally pointing the completely wrong way. And that is absolutely jeopardizing his straight line speed as well as his cornering speed. And now the likes of Holloway trying to make the outside line. He's still fighting on like a champ though, trying to hold on as much as he can here in the Golden Pigeon McLaren over here, just trying to hold off on that front damage. But now Mike Mann from the Roasted Records team is also coming in from behind. He is going to lose a lot of speed though on this straight. As you can see, the wheel damage isn't too bad. Not too much of a degree hold over there. It's about 3 degrees to the right having to hold on there. But now Mike Mann will eventually gather onto the backside of here. Holloway is also going to pull away from this. And it's right now just looking a little bit unfortunate there for Ahmed.
Is at this moment in this race. He's got Mike Mann just behind him. So what will Mike Mann be able to do? Ahmed just trying to damage limitations in this race so far down the order in P number 22. Back up though with Critchell. He's got DePaula and Soto there. And Castro's not a million miles away from this. You know, he's got past Souza earlier on and he's now trying to get his head down. Carl Robertson, I'm noticing, has actually dropped down the order a little bit. He was ahead of Souza. He's now down in 16th place. I'm not sure what happened to Robertson. But Castro's coming on to this pack here of Critchell. And this could be for that pole position in that second race come the end of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. A nice, good switch around here for Critchell. Holding off, yeah, this could be P1 for race 2. So holding on to that. But a little bit of an update though on Nicholas Laubisch. Our fight through the pack driver is unfortunately not going to be rejoining. Yeah, he's 6 laps down on the timing board and is currently just sitting in the pit lane. So super unfortunate there for race 1. Not going to render any good results there. So we'll have to see if he's going to come back possibly in race 2. Hopefully we see him come back. But for now, the fighting continues. Unfortunately, the fighting hasn't escalated all the way down the pack. We've got quite a big margin of gap between drivers from ranging from 2 up to 8 seconds gap between the rest of the pack, dropping down from 15th and below. So trying to find as much as we can here for fighting opportunities. Currently, it is the top 5. Still holding on for dear life over here because the 2 Hungarian drivers are not able to pull away, guys. Hooverson and Karen are holding on for dear life.
I feel like they should talk to each other off the channel and be like, listen, let's work together to chase these 2 guys down. I feel like you said, the slipstream is going to not be as prominent, but I feel like there's some strategy here they could use to work together.
Yeah, they can easily defend from each other and hold off at the moment. This is a replay of Tyler King. Oh, he's had a big moment coming out of the chute. Lost it on the outside curb, it looked like there. Just wondering if we can just go back before the outside curb and then drops the rear around, hits the outside wall, and that'll be some big damage to his car. We'll hopefully see what happened just before the chute. So he's coming down the chute. He's already got damage to the rear of that car. You just about see it go. Steps out there, goes onto the outside curb. Yeah, and it just unsettles the car into the wall. And that's enough just to unsettle it, wasn't it? You saw him fighting with the car coming through the chute corner there.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see there, just from the rear end damage, losing grip. I don't think that's Campbell, though. Campbell was a little bit further in front. That's one of the Golden Falcon drivers that we always mention and change their name every single corner that we can get. But now Palla is fighting on because Hooverson is slowly starting to get closer, I believe. He's 2.7 now, just by 0.27 behind. And Karen is also trying to hold on. Polisek has unfortunately lost out a little bit here, 3 seconds behind already. So now the fight for third is definitely on. Hooverson is finding more and more grip in that green and black McLaren, now right on the rear of Palla. Toth is trying to pull away and he's trying to tow Palla into a little bit of a slip here to get away from the Canadian driver, but the pace is unheard of here for Hooverson, and he's trying to find every bit of the track that no one else is finding. We'll see if he's taking a little bit different brake lines. It looks like he's following a relatively same suit here as Palla, but now coming onto the next straight, he is going to have a little bit more slipstream. Palla is trying to hold on to his teammate, but the gap is much larger between Toth and Palla compared to Palla and Hooverson, so the slipstream is a little bit more powerful here for Hooverson, trying to now gain on as much as he can. Coming through the final couple of corners here, we're going to head onto the main straight. Do you think it's going to be enough, Chris? I'm not sure if we'll see the overtake, but he's right on the rear of that Hungarian car.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's enough, but he's definitely going for it. So I think he's just trying to find his moment, and when it happens, he's gonna try and take it. It's exciting to watch.
Confidence of Hooverson there on the brakes, coming through these final couple of corners, really closing in. Could have the momentum up through the S as a flash of the lights for Toff. That is for the back marker to get out of the way. He does not want anything to disrupt this race win. And Hooverson fought the two Hungarians at Monza just a week ago. He's going to try and take them on here at Watkins Glen. Not the easiest of circuits, Chris, to overtake on.
Oh, it's not, and that's why guys really have to pick and choose their spots. You can't really wait it out here because you might not get the opportunity again.
So the back marker pulls to that inside line, might just be in the way by the time they come into the inner loop. He's quickly put his foot on the brake to allow the top four through. He does not want to be a part of this. And look at the amount of curb that Hooverson uses. Such confidence through the inner loop compared to that of Palla in front. Can't yet take this to his advantage. We've got just under 9 minutes to go in this race, and Hooverson really taking the fight to the current championship leader. Can he get the move done, though? He's got to find the momentum out of one of these corners to pull alongside.
I sort of biting my nails there coming into the inner loop. That back marker did not look like he was going to back down out of that, and we could have seen an over the nose over there just coming into the inner. Ooh, a little bit of grip loss there from Palla. That's going to ruin his run on the back straight of here. And my goodness, guys, Hooverson has got so much confidence around Watkins Glen at the moment. He is eating the curbs for breakfast, where most drivers are really trying to stick conservative. He is eating every bit of track limit in that green and black McLaren, and he's really finding what works. He feels confident right now, and you can see the grip levels are extremely high for these drivers. The tires are nice and warm and in an optimal window for pushing right now. Remember, it is only a 25-minute race, which is exactly why we follow suit of this double race format, because the tires stay nice and optimal. A little bit further back, though, Nick DePaula is on the back of Andre Castro. And, guys, Castro also has been fighting a long way up from the back.
Well, Tristan, I was just keeping my eyes on this, on the timing towers, that Castro's actually passed Soto and DePaula over the last couple of laps. So he's looking to make his way through. We've seen him already get past Robertson and that of Sousa a little earlier on in the race. He's now fought past DePaula and Soto, looking to get on the back of Critchell, which could be, you know, the best he could get out of this first race. It would also give him that pole position if he comes to it towards the end. So up over the S as they go once more. And this is on board with DePaula, trying to hunt down Castro. But I just feel Castro's got a lot of momentum. We speak about Hooverson and the momentum he's got. Castro as well looks like he's got the grip, he's got the confidence, literally hopping over these curbs like they're nothing and carrying the speed through. And that's what's helping Castro today, just that confidence and grip he's got in this McLaren.
I love Castro's livery. That I don't know who painted that, but hats off to them.
Yeah, that is looking rather nice out there here at Watkins Glen. And this is going to be an interesting one as Castro goes to look up the inside. Critchell's just run a little wide through boot. It's through toe, in down at the boot. They go in towards heel. Castro's alongside at the moment. Can he get the job done up the inside? It's going to be best of the late breakers. Critchell breaks a little later. Just a bit of contact there. Critchell has a wiggle. And Castro's through. DePaula and Soto also get past Critchell as well. So he loses out 3 places there. And Castro now moves up into 8th place. Just the confidence there, Chris, to get him through and in front.
Absolutely, man. Just to take that move. But now he's got a bit of a gap to try and catch up to Torchio. Let's see how it happens here. He's going to need some help somehow.
He might play that game, Tristan, where he just stays in P8 just to give him that pole position. He's got the confidence now. The pole position in that second race could allow him to really pull in front in the second race.
Yeah, no, seriously, Castro is being an absolute menace out on track here. He is ripping through positions one by one, and he's really making light work of it over here. Unfortunately, a little bit of contact there with Critchell, but thankfully nothing too hectic. Here comes Campbell, though. Lovely slingshot, though, on Jenkins. Will it be enough? He doesn't have the gap. Now Jenkins formulating a little bit more of a gap, and Campbell pushing him out a little bit further wide now on the insides, going up onto the S's, but a little bit of a slingshot on the outside is possible here. And the likes of Jenkins really trying to hold on still. Bumper to bumper, rear to front, bumper over here, and holding off on that inside line. Campbell is now blocking, but now he's going to have a bit of a slipstream break here. The air is being broken, and there's a back marker on the inside line. This is going to play into effect how the inner loop gets taken, but it looks like Campbell is going to hold off from the likes of Jenkins, who's just backed off. But my goodness, Castro has been ripping through this pack. And like you mentioned, Matthew, he could potentially just sit in 8th right there, and he really does have a lot of fight in him this week, and he could potentially fight himself for a nice podium coming into race 2.
All about track position. Play the game as it is, and look to stay in that 8th place. Looking out front, though, Pala's pulled away from Hooverson a couple of attempts. He's got himself onto the back of Toth just a little bit more here, as Jenkins has got back ahead of Campbell then. So not sure what's happened down in 18th and 19th place in this one. Campbell's now back in front of Jenkins. So them two switching places. Look like a little bit of contact there coming through toe. And now up the hill they go. I find this corner the trickiest corner at Watkins Glen. And Campbell going to come back up the inside of Jenkins. Lovely little fight between these two. 2 corners left of this 12th lap for these two. We're on to lap 13 for the leaders. Bit more contact. And Campbell now gets in front and stays in front.
Yeah, Campbell really putting those elbows out here. And it almost looked like he was actually like giving Jenkins a little bit of a nod there. Like, hey, listen here, bro. Just pull off a little bit. I need to get in front of you. Almost like a little bit of a nudge to warn him off. And now really pulling a little bit of a gap. Now 5/10 ahead of Jenkins coming into the first turn over here, and you can still see abusing that outside track limit, just trying to generate as much speed possible, heading upwards into the S's and now into the back straight over here towards inner loop. And this is going to be a fight now, because Jenkins once again will have the slip. Unfortunately, not as powerful this time, being 6/10 back, but it is one to note. But a little bit further back up to our top 4, because Karen has broken under that 4/10 gap again, now 3.6. And the train has escalated because Karen has joined in this fight, and it is now the top 4 all equal with each other. You can see the orange on your live timing screen, the live timing tower, all of them 3 to 4 tenths within each other. And this is going to play suit over here, because we've got 3 minutes left of racing after lap 13. This could potentially be a swap around here, especially for 3rd and 4th between Hooverson and Karen. If we are not careful, we might miss it. So we need to be attention seeking over here to see what happens in this top 4 battle.
2 laps to go. Sorry, go on, Chris.
If I'm Karen or Hooverson, I'm definitely getting together and game planning for the next couple of races against these two. Because listen, Toth and Paula is smart, right? You guys work with each other. That's racing to stay up front, but they need that. Like the Autobots need the Decepticons, right? So let's see if these two can team together.
Ooh.
Oh, big move into turn 1. This is Critchell and Soto. Soto, we're right around the outside of Critchell there into turn number 1. Great move from the from Soto there on the Englishman of Critchell. Critchell down to 11th place now, trying to fight back after a bit of contact with Castro earlier on. But the top 4, 2 laps to go in this race. Another move, Campbell and Lindner now going at it, and Campbell gets past Lindner for 17th place. So he's now a man on a mission. He's trying to charge his way through the field. But the top 4 with 2 laps to go. Pal has just dropped off the back of Toth once again here, and Hooverson back on him. Karen still with Hooverson as well. 1.5 laps left in this first race, and this is all to play for. Anything could happen between these 4 at the end of this one, but it's just proving, Tristan, how hard overtaking is at Watkins Glen, because they've been in a train for so long without anybody really threatening the driver in front.
Yeah, 14 laps is a long time to sit in the exact same positions. But this is a key thing now. You guys have had 14 laps to make the mistakes that you needed to make. This is now the time where you cannot make any mistakes, especially for Toth and Pala, because one little slip up here anywhere on the track, whether it's rear or front slip up, could be a loss of position here, because the top 4 of here are fiercely competitive and trying to fight it out here to see who can come out on top regardless. Unfortunately, none of them are going to get a good rotation here in race 2, being in the top 4. They're all going to go down all the way from 4th to 8th in this rotation and the switch up. So now it all comes down to just gaining as much points in race number 1. It looks like, though, with 30 seconds left to go, if Toth and Pala can hold off on the same racing style they've followed, they could potentially hold this off. But that's not going to be a fighting chance. It's not going to be a stop here for Hooverson, and the fighting chance is definitely still there. Unfortunately, Karen has fallen back a little bit, as you can see, but now it looks like Pala is just holding off on the back there of Toth. I don't think he'll even bother making a move, but my goodness, Hooverson takes so much more curb, and he gains so much time compared to Pala over there. Already 2.5 tenths from 4 tenths, so gaining over 1.5 tenths just from taking the inner loop a little bit different, and that might actually play crucially coming into the final corners of this race.
Chris, we fancy a little send-it manoeuvre on the final couple of corners down this back straight?
It's interesting.
Oh, he was close enough. He was close enough there, but Hooverson just touched that inside curb. Sorry, Chris. Just touched the inside curb. He's had a huge moment. This has allowed Karen to have a look up the inside in towards toe. Just a sniff of an opportunity. Hooverson will now have that inside line. Runs a little wide off the circuit. It looked a little wider than he'd normally like to be. And Karen cannot make the best that bad situation, but that has put this to bed. Toff looks like he's going to win this from Pala. Hooverson there made his own little mistake, just coming through, just maybe pushing that little bit too hard, being that little bit too eager. But race one is going to end as it did in Monza a week ago. The Hungarians on top. It's Toff from Pala, Hooverson from Karen, and then in the background, Polasek coming home for a P5. What a race. Hooverson made the mistake at the end.
Yeah, that answered that there. Yeah, go for it, Chris.
I said that answered that question. The move made it himself, and he almost lost it, but he holds on to keep P3. So great job.
Yeah, I think after he made that move, he realized, okay, it's a little bit more important yet to try and keep third than to try and gain like one position into second. So after making that risky dive, unfortunately not worth it to continue fighting it and just holding Karen off. Because as you can see, Karen coming into that right-hander was just about ready to lunge and make a position himself. Linda comes across in 18th. Mike Mann still coming around track there in 23rd. He's still following suit because Ahmad in front is still got that massive front damage. I don't think he's going to be able to catch him before the end of this race. And props to Ahmad, though, for bringing that McLaren home. Look at that front right damage. My goodness, the blistering on that tire is going to be one of note from all the side scraping it's been doing this race. But that concludes race one here. Incredible stuff up and down this grid. It's been a good fight, though, and it's going to be a really good disciple of what we should be seeing in race two.
Zohair Ahmed was the biggest gainer, 11 places in that first race. Castro carved his way through the field, 9 places. He will be on that pole position for this second race. He fancy his chances, in second race for a possible podium. Obviously, the top 8 switch around if you are new to the league by Foxxtecca. The qualifying the race 2 grid is set by the finishing positions of race 1, with the exception of the top 8 that get inverted. So Toth will start 8th. Castro will be on pole as we get in Laws and that of Swank crossing the line to finish the race here. That was an exciting race 1. Not as much chaos in that opening lap at the S's in the inner loop as I was expecting. But David Toff is your race winner from Ballas Pala. Hooverson P3 from Andrew Karen, the top 4 in a league of their own at the moment. Polasek P5 from Zane Smith. Alessandro Torcio was 7th from Andre Castro. Nick DePaula, Russell Soto rounding out the top 10 from Thomas Critchell, Lucas Souza, Miles Brown, Chris Wetz, Jesse Loverin from Cal Robertson, Tyler Campbell and Jack Linder, your top 18.
Yeah, following 19, Anthony Jenkins and King. Yeah, go for it.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish up that.
No, straight. So Anthony Jenkins in 19 with Kingston Mullings in 20th. And Lewis Holloway 21st with Zohair Ahmad, Mike Mann and Tyrone Roberts. Anthony Cuthbert in 25th. Rain Woodside in 26th with Hayden Swank in 27th. And Jonathan Laura's in 28th with Cameron Brown 29th. Alan Ware 30th with Xavier Bullen and Tyler King 32nd. Cam Carraway in 33rd with Andrew Yun 34th. Laubish in 35th with unfortunately no form of traction this race at all. And Kamari Odom 36th, also not having a good start to this night, down in 36th. But that is the race results for race number 1. So it's going to be a top 8 flip, which means Castro once again starting off on pole. He has done it before, previously in the league, starting nicely up on the podium. And so we'll see what he can do coming into race 2 here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I feel like he's had so many opportunities. In the first race, they had the fuel issue, and then another race, I can't remember which one, he got into a fender bender. He's been this close to being on podium, even winning the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does now.
Castro sitting in the prime position then for race 2. The drivers have a bit of a warm-up break, a little chance to maybe step out of the cockpit and get to the toilet, grab a bit of fluids, on board whatever they need to do. Race 2 is going to be an interesting one, though, going forward with that top 8 inverted. Here at the league by Foxxtecca, week number 5 at Watkins Glen. We take that week break next week before we head to Bathurst in a fortnight's time. Which is going to be, let's just speak a little bit about Bathurst. We say that the S's here, it could cause some dramas. Bathurst, Mount Panorama, well, that in itself, we all know what Bathurst is like. It's tight, it's nasty, it will punish you if you get it wrong, especially at the top of the mountain. It's going to be an interesting race for sure.
Well, I mean, I think the risk level is slightly different because at Watkins, we've obviously got high curbs that can throw you off. At Bathurst, we've got concrete walls that are literally right next to your car that if you make one mistake, you could be experiencing quite a large shunt coming into a very, very fast-paced wall. And we've seen it a lot at Bathurst. It's a very, very, very interesting track to watch racing on it. It really comes down to driver skill and how they can manage this car. And like we've said already, this is not the easiest GT3 to drive, so definitely going to be an interesting one to watch in 2 weeks' time. Don't forget it. Please don't pitch up here next week. You are going to be all alone by yourself, probably stranded at Watkins Glen outside the gate, so don't be that person. Make sure you're there at Bathurst in 2 weeks, because that's going to be an awesome race. But I'm talking like we're finished here. No stress, guys, because we've still got another second race over here. Don't disappear just yet. It's going to be even more interesting coming into Heat 2.
With the extra 5 minutes as well in this race. Don't forget, while you are here, we have our two fantastic partners on board. The Roasted Record in Stuart, Florida, the coffee shop. This is one of our the main sponsor that was on board from the start of the series. We also have the African American Automotive Association, our fantastic partners that support the channel here and the league by Foxxtecca here on this week number 5, as they have done all season long. The grid, though, for race number 2, Andre Castro from Alessandro Torchio, Zane Smith from Michael Polasek, Andrew Karen from Gregory Hooverson, Ballas Pala from David Toff. Them top 8 obviously have been inverted from race 1. It will then be Nick DePaula from Russell Soto, Thomas Critchell and Lucas Souza in P12.
Yeah, and then Miles Brown in 13th, Chris Wetz and Jesse Laverin, followed by Kyle Roberts in 16th, Tyler Campbell in 17th, and Jack Linder in 18th, Anthony Jenkins 19th, with Kingston Mullings in 20th, Lewis Holloway. Zohair Ahmad starts a little bit further behind, but like we mentioned, he was 11 positions up from race 1. Mike Mann 23rd, with Tyron Roberts rocking around the top 24.
Down in 25th is Anthony Cuthbert from Rain Woodside, down in 26th. Hayden Swank 27th from Jonathan Laws. Cameron Brown 29th from Alan Ware, 30th. 31st for Xavier Bulliner. Tyler King in 32nd from Cam Carraway. Andrew Young, Nicholas Laubish and Kamari Odom, who never got going in race 1, so hopefully we can see him in this second race here. But the formation lap is underway, and Chris, 5 extra minutes in this one for the drivers to just maybe work their way through that field a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting. There's been battles behind in the back and in the middle. Now that the grid is kind of flipped, is going to see how that team of the Hungarian team tries to push their way forward. I think Castro's going to do it here today. I really do. Something in my gut is telling me that this is his race to lose. So we'll see what happens in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that's a little bit of setting coming into race 2. If we could just quickly get the camera there on Nicholas Laubish, I think once again, it's not a race start for Laubish. I mean, I don't see him on the timing screen. I think he might be in pit lane once again, and he's not even here, and you can't even actually get a camera on him, which means everything's offline in that cockpit. So Laubish, second time here at Watkins Glen, just not successful on getting that McLaren out. We do see Odom has come out of the pit lane. Kamari Odom is in 33rd and thankfully joined up in this formation lap, so they'll be starting off this race. But definitely on board with you, Chris. I think Castro has got the guts, he's got the energy, he's got the willpower around to try and fight it out. His main threat tonight is definitely going to be the 2 Hungarian drivers, as well as Hooverson and Karen. We saw their pace in the beginning, but Castro had very similar pace. He's got the advantage of starting in first. He's got Torcho behind him, who might not be able to hold on depending on how Castro takes these next couple of corners. But I've got good faith. The very nice livery driver over here, the BS Plus hybrid driver, could potentially have a very good start to week 5 over here.
Also noting that Xavier Bulliner and Andrew Young haven't taken to the grid either, so them two also with Nicholas Laubish not on the grid. For the folks at home who may not have watched a lot of racing, or you may have done, the commentator's curse is a real thing. So let's hope that Castro does do well in this race, because the commentator's curse is real, and we've just picked him up a little bit there. So hopefully Castro can do this. But you're right, Andrew Karen, Gregory Hooverson, they had the pace of the front 2 as well. They're starting ahead of the Hungarian drivers of Pala and Toff. They're going to be interesting to keep our eyes on their progression, while the two Hungarians of Pala and Toth are behind them. Let's see what we can do as we're coming into the final couple of corners to take the green flag here.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming across the next corner. So coming across through the next couple of corners, though, onto the main straight over here. We're going to see there goes the safety car being pulled in. And now onto the main starting line over here. That's green flag lights over here. Castro holding off the inside line. He does have Torcho on the outside. And it looks like the likes of Zane Smith diving on the inside. We've got the Hungarian drivers already diving on the inside line over there, trying to find a position. Castro's gotten a very good pull-off over there and managed to pulling away. Torcho has lost the position already to the likes of Zane Smith. It's a little bit further fighting down the pack, though, because the Hungarian drivers are already fighting up. Top is up 2 positions, and Andrew Karen has lost out 3 positions already in the backpack over there. And now the fighting continues because Torcho holding on to the long side. Zane Smith further behind, though, is the likes of Michael Polisek holding on very tightly there in 4th position. Hooverson has also made up a position, as well as Ballast Pala. Now all of them now gaining a lot of traction, coming out of the inner loop and trying to fight their way up towards Castro. And it's a big drop-off, unfortunately, for Karen. He's lost out 3 positions in lap 1. Torcho as well, 4 positions down, trying to hold on. He gets pushed out a little bit wide there by the Hungarian drivers, just trying to manipulate around track over there. But now Castro holding off neatly in the front pack, and well done, guys. But seems like we've actually managed to get past lap 1 with not too many incidents.
Didn't see anything in the background there, so a good start from Castro. Got away well, did what he needed to do in this race. But Hooverson was the man on the move in the early laps, as was the Hungarian drivers of Toff and that of Pala, as they come through to nearly complete the first lap here in this second race at Watkins Glen. What a start for Castro. Hooverson still ahead of the two Hungarians. He's going to be looking to make some moves in this race. Now, if you look at that timing tower, you will notice that there is big spin. I think that was Torchio. No, it's Robertson. I'm seeing dropping down the order on this on the timing tower in front of me. I can't see Torchio. He's already dropped down the order quite significantly. I believe that was Robertson, who was sideways coming up through the penultimate corner. We'll try and get a replay of that. But look at that timing tower. You're seeing the different colours there. White means they're not really within a second. Within a second is yellow. Orange is within half a second. And red is when they are really, really close to the other drivers. But already a bit of carnage. We'll try and get a replay of the end of that lap. This is Toff on the back of Pala, who's on the back of Hooverson, with Polisek just in front of him. The leaders all going well at the moment. Castro has got near enough half a second lead. This is what has happened, though. This is on the start line. This is Lewis Holloway coming down the start line. A bumper is off the car there. They've just negotiated the way around that, and contact. Avoid the course. No, collapses into another one. And Lewis Holloway, a passenger in that one. Not sure who he's collected there, but a passenger spinning across the grass, helpless there, and into the side of another car.
Yeah, I think that might have been Anthony Cuthbert, who just missed out over there. And he's really far down off the grid. But guys, also Torcho, 29 positions down. And I think it might have been Torcho in that mistake that happened, because Robertson only lost 2 positions in that fight. And I don't think he lost 2 from that spin over there. That spin looked quite hectic and completely sideways. But here's Torcho a little bit further down. This is now the fight. Obviously just alongside Zane Smith. You can see just on the outside, he gets forced out a bit wide. And then, just completely self-mistake over there from Torcho. And losing it, just narrowly avoiding a possible retirement from this race. The backside of that McLaren was weeping for absolute fear of life over there, but thankfully managing to stay nice and built up and not losing any parts there too. Some of the cars coming past, but now Zane Smith will benefit from that. Just on the backside of Castro and Polisek and Hooverson have all gained up a couple of positions, and now it's going to be the fight for first, because the battle is 7 cars long from Karen to Castro, as everybody fighting on. Brown and Lavrin have switched positions in 14th, and now Brown actually losing another position to Ahmad down in 15th. So now everybody fighting. There's a huge battle over here, though, and this is why Brown lost a double position over here. Coming up the S's, there's 7 cars over there, all involved. Coming into the next corner, this could be tight, Matthew.
Brown's got no front bumper, so he's being a bit compromised up through the S's. They're 2 by 2 in towards the inner loop. This can only end one way. And it didn't end that way. It ended everybody neatly single file through the inner loop. It's been absolutely brilliant there. Great driver awareness. I was expecting tears from some of the drivers, but they all negotiate their way through. This is a heck of a train down at Watkins Glen. A few cars with bumpers missing. Jenkins looking up the inside of Brown. Brown a little wide. That'll invite Jenkins through. Pala has passed Hooverson, and Toff has now got past Hooverson. So the two again. In fact, Karen has now passed Hooverson. So what has happened there? Hooverson, has he made a mistake? We'll hopefully get a replay of what has happened. Castro coming under pressure. But I tell you what, Chris, that through the inner loop could have been a disaster. We'll go back to that in a moment. This is what has happened to Hooverson. So it's Pallet, late move up the inside, just taps the rear of Hooverson there, and that's cost him all momentum.
He saved it though.
Yeah, he did save it. That is true. But a little bit of a dirty one then from Pallet, climbing up on the inside line. And just not really a gap there for him. Unfortunately, sticking the McLaren's nose where it doesn't quite belong. And thankfully, Hooverson not losing the entire car outside off of the track there, managing to save it. But that is 3 positions lost from one person's reaping what they sow. And now Toth is fighting onto the back of Pala with Karen. And now Hooverson just trying to hold on here and not lose out. We've got 25 minutes left of racing. Castro is holding his strength here. Chris, this could be potentially a good day for us. We should have put some money on this guy because it looks like he's holding off nice and strong there in P1.
He is, but we just talked about the curse, so why are you trying to get me more involved in it now?
I've touched wood, guys. I've touched wood, okay?
Hooverson's back onto the rear of this quartet, this trio in front, so Hooverson's not going to let this one fight. And Chris, we saw the cars there, 6 going 2 by 2 into the inner loop a lap ago. That could have really ended up nasty.
Yeah, these guys are really they're testing the waters, and I thought it was going to be doomed too, but thank God it didn't happen.
Tyler Campbell just on the grass on the outside there, on the exit of the chute in towards heel now as they come up towards the boot straight. He's on the back then of Nick DePaula. This is for 10th and 11th place at the moment. But we have still got that 7-car battle for the lead. Pala just dropping out that second time zone to Polisek at the moment. This is Roberts pretty much pushing Brown down the straight. Then these 6 are all still going at it. And Roberts to the outside now of Toe on Brown. And Brown's going to hold it strong. He's now going to have the outside line. Then getting sideswiped there by Roberts coming back onto the circuit. And Roberts should get the move done up the inside. Through he goes. And look at this gaggle of cars. A great train here. 7 minutes into this 30-minute race.
Unfortunately, Robertson and Brown are both at a huge disadvantage right now in terms of speed because they're missing the entire front compartment of that car. Thankfully, you know, the McLarens have their engines stored in the back, so not too much damage in terms of that. But still lots and lots of aero loss for them. You can see it on the back straight how everybody is just gaining time on them because now Linda is holding off on the inside. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there with Brown as he gets shoved wide. Another guy has to divert on the inside. That's King just trying to hold off on the inside line there as Brown just came back on track over there. That almost turned hostile. And now a little bit further behind though, it's the 2 golden hornbills fighting each other onto the back straight over here, trying to find a way around. Brown is a little bit further behind though. It's onto the outside line though for Tyler King. Holding off on the inside though is Linda. Is it going to be enough for him to get past? And Linda lets him go past. Thankfully, no contact. A little bit too much of a jump there for King. He almost lost the back suspension and almost got a little bit of a random RNG luck as to where that back suspension would have bounced. But thankfully, not too much of a contact point over there. And now fighting on strong, trying to gain back onto Robertson, who's also got that front end damage. That's where we saw the 2 position loss a little bit earlier on in the race. But now it's back onto Robertson, just trying to hold on. And the dive on the inside from King. It could potentially be a position coming into the next straight.
Yeah, around the outside he goes. He's still there, just being given a car's width on that outside line. Down the straight they go, side by side with Robertson. Now gets the nose in front, brakes a little later, sticks that outside line, has to give the car's width on the inside. That should be moved on coming up the hill. It's done before the next corner. That is then Tyler King up yet another place. Did see that Campbell had actually dropped down a couple of places a moment ago. He's down now into 13th. And look at that top 7. They are all separated by pretty much nothing at the top. And that's why Campbell, he's got a problem because he's into the pit lane. I saw him drop it down the timing tower a couple of places. Obviously a bit of damage to that car that he can't drive with.
Yeah, unfortunately just not finding it copable. There's action though in the background though because someone's up on the inside line there as everybody just trying to shift around over there. That looks like Linda once again. That's King, sorry. fighting off from Brown, and there's a massive battle right now. The battle for 17th is definitely here, and it's approaching fast because loads of the drivers are finding slip and finding headway, because this is the only way Brown is able to stay in this competition, is by sitting right behind another car and gaining all that slipstream. But here comes Cameron Brown on the backside of Robertson, trying to find a way around him a little bit further though, because Linda is still in this fight and trying to maneuver it around. My goodness, it is close for Cameron Brown, almost chopping the nose off again from Robertson, coming out of the inner loop and now heading into the next couple of corners. It's Cameron Brown from Robertson, from Linda, and Swank is also joined in on this fight a little bit further behind. Mike Mann will also eventually join. Torcho a little bit further behind there in 24th is eventually appearing on camera again, and somebody's touched the grass over there, and that's a position gain for Robertson on the outside of Linda. Almost, and he almost gets touched on by the inside there by Linda a little bit further behind, and that's now also played back a little bit further to Swank, just trying to hold on here, and the battle is definitely escalating.
It was King who was on the outside of Shoot there, who was on the grass and lost a place. Miles Brown had got ahead of him. Now Cameron Brown has got in front of him as well. So the two Browns have got ahead of King at this moment. They'll come back up the hill. There you go again. Torcho has got past Mike Mann for 23rd and 24th place in this race at the moment. It is heating up at the front of the pack, as well as all this for P17 downwards at the moment. Miles Brown, he's doing an incredible job. There's a yellow flag on Policy up in P3. Not sure what that is. We'll stick with this for the time being, though. Oh, no, we've just come away from it. Politec is slow. He's very wide. Back to the lead, back to the battle for 18th between Miles and Cameron Brown. Cameron Brown on the outside. King fancies a look up the inside on Cameron Brown. Cameron Brown still trying to fight with Miles Brown. Up through the S as they go. That is going to put King in between them. They all slot in, not quite perfectly at the moment, as King's trying to stay in Miles Brown's slipstream through the S's in towards the inner loop. It is slipstream after slipstream pushing each other down the back straight as they all try to defend from each other and attack each other. They stay as they was again. Laws down the order as well. It's now got a yellow flag, but Polosek, yellow flags put him down to 7th place. Slow down for him. That is what the yellow flag is for. That means it is a slowdown. King's now attacking the back of Miles Brown to the outside of the chute. It's back with the leaders.
Yeah, loads of action. There's just too much for us to keep eyes on. As further up on pack, though, the leaders have been switching around and getting closer and closer to each other. The two Hungarian drivers still keeping nicely compacted with each other. You can see where one goes, the other goes, because they've climbed from 7th and 8th all the way up to 3rd and 4th now, ahead of Hooverson and the likes of Karen. Polosek has also lost out majorly, but Smith is holding on behind Castro, as Castro is still pulling 5/10. He's now got a good, I would say, 18 minutes left of racing up for Castro. Yeah. Do you think he can hold it? I mean, he's got a couple of fast drivers behind. Pala is also trying to gain up on the back of Smith there, but there is also only so much time that these drivers have got to make headway, and Castro is really pulling on Alonso this race. He's got his elbows out. He's not letting anybody get past him in race 2 over here, and this could potentially be a great finish for him. Up in first position, you can see that gorgeous blue, black, white. I mean, there's so many colors involved there, and that's exactly what makes that livery so sparkly and shiny up in first position. Exactly where it should be. And now Smith is getting closer and closer. Now 0.18 seconds just behind through the inner loop, and it's all about who can get the better exit over here. Coming into the next corners, though, it's still Castro leading from Smith.
He's definitely got the skills to win the race, but you know what happens is being able to defend. Do you defend too much? Do you make a bad move? It could come down to one silly mistake on an entire race. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Looks like there's a blue flag, a back marker just up ahead as well from Castro. And just going back to the two Hungarian drivers of Pala and Toff, it's pretty much the same four fighting each other, just in a different order. It was Toff ahead of Pala race 1, and it was Hooverson ahead of Karen in race 1. So they're all jumbled around, but it's the same four going at it with the added addition of Smith and Castro. And Polosek's not a million miles away after his slowdown. He's now staying with this pack and sticking with them. So it's going to be interesting to see what he can do here. King has managed to get ahead of Cameron and Miles Brown now, so he's up into 17th place. Still a train of cars behind him, though, at this moment of this race. Hooverson, fastest lap, 2 laps ago of this race with a 1:43.582. But everybody else is doing a 1:48 as well. He's got it by a matter of hundredths. So really, that is not enough time that he needs to be pulling alongside that of Karen and getting ahead in this race. There you see the fastest laps. Look how tight they all are between the top 7.
Yeah, the top 7 all showing that they've got the skill to stay exactly where they are and try and fight it out though for P1. Castro, as you can see, they're just 3/10 slower on his fastest from Hooverson. And the issue is, although Hooverson's got the fastest lap, he's got a huge train of cars that he's got to fight ahead just to get up to that pole position. And he's also got Polisek behind. We cannot disinclude Polisek after that slowdown. He's definitely still in this fight, but now the 2 Hungarian drivers are trying to use a little bit of teamwork here and strategy to get closer and closer to Smith. You can see that the likes of Pala is starting to get closer as we speak, and Toth will follow the same order, just trying to hold on as much as he can, and Karen might actually just get the slip here. So Smith is in a lot of trouble because here comes 3 very fast McLaren drivers trying to get past him, trying to get past the red and into the blue there of Castro, who is just trying to hold off now, and this is Castro's chance to try and pull away. He's got a back marker in front. Depending on how he plays this next scenario, he could potentially put a nice back marker's width through the next couple of corners. It's very difficult to get past one car through the next couple of corners. So Castro, super pinnacle for him to get past and generate a little bit of gap so that the fighting can continue behind him and he can continue to pull away and generate that nice gap for pole.
Bonus that Castro has here is that the more Smith defends from the 4 behind him, the more that's going to allow Castro to stretch his legs and pull that lead a bit further and further away. Polisek just falling off the back of this 6-way fight for the lead of this race. We're halfway through it. Castro, like we've just said, has that back marker in front who pulls right out the way. You're going to have to go very, very slow because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, near enough 7 for the lead. He lets 6 of them go, realises Polisek's there in 7th place and pulls back to that inside line and slows down. So all 7 get through there. And look at that, Castro just extending his lead just over half a second now to Smith. Smith not really defending too much yet from Pala. This may be the opportunity, though, that Pala needs in the slipstream. Smith, middle of the road, holds his ground. Look at that. Toth's having a look on Pala as well. They all stay as they were, and nobody changes positions into the inner loop. But oh, big wiggle, big moment through the inner loop. That's going to open the door for Pala. Maybe even Toth. Not quite, but Pala is through. And that was all a mistake from Smith on the inner loop, bouncing over the curbs.
Yeah, no, this is all up to Castro. He's looking in his back mirror and he's just thinking, go, 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 Castro, go, go, go. This is your time now to generate that gap because an incident happened behind Smith, almost losing the car. And that's exactly what I was talking about, the inner loop. I've experienced it myself, just getting an odd bounce off of that final curb. And it sends the car completely left. If you're not able to hold it, though, you're in for a very wild ride. But thankfully, Smith managing to hold that car, loses out 1 position. And now he's in between a Hungarian sandwich. This is upsetting the 2 Hungarian drivers. They like to be right by each other to pull off the team's strategies over here. And Smith right in the middle of both of them. And this is going to want to be light work from Toth, trying to get past. But like we mentioned, the more fighting that happens behind, the more that Castro can run away. But now he's got Pala behind, and Pala, being a slightly more aggressive and faster driver here, is going to try and close that gap between himself and Castro in first position. So Castro also needs to watch out here. 13 minutes left of racing for race number 2. Castro has held out for 11 laps. Can he do it for another 10?
It'll be interesting to keep our eyes on. It's a fascinating race. Pala, they're just running a little wider than they probably wanted. They've just got to be careful of them track limits on that outside line through turn 1. But Chris, 6 for the lead with 13 minutes to go. This is absolutely a thrilling fight at the moment.
It is up and down the grid, and you know, I'm not going to talk about the guy in first place, but you know, he's more strong, you know. But everybody else up and down the grid are definitely battling, and it's been a relatively clean race, which is exciting. It's fun to see that people are. We don't have the typical carnage that you get in the league.
Toth here, just looking at him there, looked a little like he wanted to get through Smith on the outer loop, down the chute. There you go, and he's just niggling at the back of Smith towards the outside of heel. There you go. Not the best line to take, but if you can hold it around the outside, you can maybe slingshot your way out the corner onto the straight. This could open the door for Hooverson, not close enough at the moment. So Toth really wanting to get past Smith to get on the back of Pala for this championship. So all a single player championship, single driver championship here, even though they're in a part of a team. It is all for themselves. Toth now looking to the outside of Smith, coming up the hill. He'll be brave to get it done around the outside. This could open the door for Karen and maybe even Hooverson. Side by side, Toth has a little wiggle. Does that put Karen through? No, he backs out of it and tucks back in. So this is all helping Pala and Castro pull away even more. Castro, I've noticed, has just started to go a little defensive. Torchio, by the way, is on the comeback here. He's up to 19th place now. in this race after his moment earlier on. But these four just losing touch with the leaders as Pala looking to put pressure on Castro. Here comes Hooverson on Karen. Karen to the outside of Toth. And that is all going to, I think, work out to stay as it was. Yes, it does. There we go. Nobody makes a move on anybody there.
Yeah, I think that might be a incident point there for Karen. You saw that Toth actually came out of the slip and then tried to pull back in, but there was no space left. And Karen had to pull out wide to avoid contact, and he possibly went off. But Pala is on the outside line of Karen, and unfortunately, huge curb taken there by Karen, trying to stay in this fight. Unfortunately, just not enough to keep the Hungarian at bay. He's still in second position, though, and the fight is escalating behind because Smith is holding on for dear life. So Castro can still finish up in second here. But Toth has also lost out because he's now fallen all the way down to 6th position, and Hooverson and Karen have gotten past him. What has happened to Toth? We'll have to go look at a replay. I think that happened in the inner loop, though, for Toth just not getting a good exit that he wanted. And now down into 6th position. Polisek is now at threat to make a position on him. And unfortunately, these are the only fights we are experiencing in this race. There's a bit of a fight down for 19th and 20th. But unfortunately, as it stands, the top fight is going to be the one we're going to be watching for the next couple of laps, because Smith is now losing out 2 positions to the likes of Karen and Hooverson, who both jump up on the inside line. And now Toth is going to want to try and also dive in on this action, and it's a triple position loss over here for Zane Smith.
Yeah, that was a good move there from Karen there. He just also left that door open for Hooverson to follow him through, and Toth wanted a piece of that action. Where's Polisek came from? Because he's really caught up to the rear of this pack now, as he's now onto the back of Smith. So Smith tumbling down the order a little bit. Good overtakes there from Hooverson, Karen and Toth, and now Hooverson will feel like trying to get on the back of Karen. I believe we've got a replay to show you what happened to Toth through the inner loop. So gets on the curb. Yes, that's set. Oh no, he actually had to avoid. He's not had to avoid the back of Smith, but what he's done there is, just looking at that replay, he's had to really get off the throttle. He could not put the power down on the exit of the inner loop, just for the sake of not running into the back of Smith in front.
And that completely threw him off for the next corner there. You see he was on the outside line, and a couple of drivers just holding that inside line from him. He wasn't able to jump back in, and eventually just had to slow the car down before colliding with that left side barrier that's extremely tight. And unfortunate for Toth, but thankfully he's already made both positions up from Polisek and Smith. Polisek just trying to climb now back up towards, and Smith is really struggling to keep his pace over here, almost falling all the way down to 7th position here, as Polisek is looking more and more aggressive. But the gap between Castro and Karen is dropping. Last lap it was 1.2 seconds. Now it's already down to 0.6 of a second, but Castro is also closing in on Pala, so it's definitely not over for these drivers over here. Polisek dives onto the inside, though, of Smith and makes light work. Smith will have the outside line, though. It's not going to be enough, though, I don't think, because Polisek is going to hold off on the inside. A little bit further, though, Critchell might also join this fight with the Simcoach drivers over here. It looks like they're going to be once again reunited a little bit further down pack. But now Pala from Castro, from Karen, from Hooverson. It sounds like I'm calling the reindeers over here as they're all racing down in first position, trying to hold off and just try and find a way around through the next corner, though. The battle is intensifying because we've got 7 minutes left of the race number 2.
An absolute fantastic fight this has been, Chris, and this is what the league brings, isn't it? Great action like this.
What it's all about, right? Again, talent on all levels, from rookies that are sitting at home in their rooms to race teams that are in simulator studios right now competing, and they all get to go out here on this grid and test each other, and I love it. And there's real race car drivers from NASCAR to IndyCar to IMSA to kids during karting. So this is what it's about. This is why we created it. Big shout out to our sponsors, the Roasted Record, the African American Automotive Association, and then you guys, right, Apex Racing, for really putting on a hell of a broadcast and doing this real life quality ESPN type broadcast.
This is down for 21st at the moment. This is Jack Linda, on the back of Miles Brown for 20th and 21st. Brown, who's just been struggling a little bit with that damage on the front, same with Robertson. They've just started to slowly drop down the order. This is Torchio on a comeback fight, if you will, back up to 19th place after his spin earlier on in the race. And back with King now. That's Jenkins and Cameron Brown in the background, just going at it a little bit. And here we go. This is going to be an interesting one to see what plays out here in this race. Polasek has obviously got past Smith a few laps ago. He's got 1.7 to Toth. Toth's trying to get on the back of Hooverson once again. Toth needs these positions now, doesn't he? Because if Pala wins this race, he's just going to lose that little bit more points with them three in between in that championship standings.
Yeah, now it's under pressure though for Castro, because look behind him. He's got a double threat waiver, because here comes Karen and Hooverson, the two Canadian drivers, really trying to make swoot over here of the American driver in front. Pala has unfortunately pulled away too much now for the likes of Castro to get slipstream, and here it comes on the nose of Karen. You can see the slipstream, and he's going to choose a line. Castro picks the inside line. Karen forced to the outside. Hooverson is going to follow one of the two, but it's going to be a bit of a hold off there for Castro, holding off on the inside line. He manages to stay ahead on the inner loop, and a little bit of a switch around there for Hooverson, and he dives on the inside. My word, what an incredible move there from Hooverson up on the inside line. He's forced Karen completely off of his stride over there, and Hooverson just diving in right side over there after the curve, and now managed to chip his way in, now chasing down on the likes of Castro. Toth is also trying to make headway though, because he's lost out a lot of positions, and unfortunately Polasek 1.7 seconds now behind this pack. He's really lost out. Zane Smith has also lost out, 6/10 behind Polasek after that overtake move, and now it's the likes of Gregory Hooverson to Castro. Castro is just trying to hold on to that second position and trying to gain back onto Pala, but 1.3 seconds, there's no slip. All the cars behind, all within 1 to 2 tenths of each other. You can see as it intensifies, we've got just under 4 minutes left of racing here. Can Castro do it? He's got Hooverson and Karen, two experienced podium drivers over here. Castro, finally time to be on the podium. Let's hope he can keep on going, but commentators curses a thing, so I don't even know who this guy is coming out onto Main Straight.
Gregory Gregory, I believe that's right.
That's correct.
Yeah, Gregory Hooverson. They didn't have the right page up. Maybe an Apex Racing Academy driver, but that was the move of a seasoned veteran to get tucked underneath on the inner loop at the last time around. Castro here will be defending for his life. If he had the nails that he could bite at the minute, if his hands wasn't on the wheel, there'd be none left, because he will be under so much pressure right now. Sweat dripping off of him as he's got three cars on the slipstream. Pala had the contact, bit of door to door. Who they stay as they are. That is very fortunate for Hooverson there. This could have allowed Toth to have a move around the outside outer loop. No, nothing. Stay as they was. I was going to say that Pala was the one who had the momentum around the inside, outside of the first part of that inner loop when he made the move of Castro. Could Hooverson do it? No, instead they made contact, and we stay as we was at the moment. That could have been, Chris, a disaster for both Castro and Hooverson.
Oh man, the C word guy, I don't want to say his name, but he's trying to hold on to a podium position. He's got 3 minutes left, and he's fighting for life here.
2 laps after this one, I think that's going to be left, Tristan.
Yeah, no, just 2 laps left now, but I'm not going to lie to you. That was a little bit dirty from Castro. I know he's really trying to hold off 1 second there, but he had the space on the inside. He knew he was going to get overtaken coming into the inner loop, and just trying to slow the green McLaren down. A little bit of bumping there. Thankfully, no one got sent off there from weird netcode issues that we see from iRacing, but the Shoulds are going to have to look at that one. That could be a little bit of reckless play over there for Castro, but for now, still in second position. Hooverson follows him, and they might actually do the same thing over again into this next lap, because Hooverson is back on a fighting chance, actually diving up on the inside line. I think he might be a little bit annoyed at this point in time after what just happened on the back straight. So we could potentially see a much more aggressive Gregory Hooverson coming onto the next straight. This is going to be an important one though. Castro holding off as much as he can. He doesn't have the slip once again. He's got 2 cars behind with the slip. Now trying to find the liner ready for Hooverson. He's out the slip now. Where will Karen and Toth go around this? He's already alongside, and as you can see, it's going to be a little bit more bumping possibly, because here he is on the outside line. Who's going to have it into the next corner? More bumping. Castro has lost the position though, and he holds off trying to hold Karen back. This is 3rd position now for Castro, just losing out. Toth is getting involved on the inside line though. He's hoping that Toth and Karen can keep on fighting, otherwise he could potentially lose this. But now Hooverson neatly up into 2nd place, where he thinks he is deserving of, and now going to chase down Pala, but only 1 minute and 10 seconds left of this race. It's going to be an important one to keep your eyes peeled here, folks.
Toth has just got past that of Karen there, that it was elbows out at the inner loop, and my God, was they out. Toth now goes aggressively defensive there on that of Karen, doesn't want him to get the up and under, down the back straight of the boot, in towards toe they come. Karen on the outside line, can't carry the momentum round there. This has brought Polasek back into play for this little fight here. Now Castro's got to defend from Toth. One lap to hang on in there for a podium. Hooverson there, real big minerals as he went through the inner loop. It was a great, brave move through the inner loop, and Hooverson manages to hang on in there at the moment. Pala is checked out up front. Hooverson second from Castro, who's now got to fend off Toth. One lap to go here at Watkins Glen, and we are seeing some fantastic fights between the top 7 as the white flag waves.
Yeah, white flag waves, but there's also fighting down for 20th because Robertson has switched up positions though with Brown, Swank, and Linda all chasing it down in 20th. We'll have a quick preview of what's going on just a little bit further behind, but I think the front fight here, and it's the battle of the no-noses over here just in front, trying to hold off from the rest of the cars here. But now Castro, crucially important, coming back onto this back straight. Where will he go? And oh no, he's got the outside line and he's got an aggressive Hungarian just behind him. This could be bad for him. But thankfully, Toth not taking the risk and holding off backwards over here. Castro having a bit of a better line, though, through the inner loop, holding off as much as he can. And the likes of Karen just a little bit further behind. Hooverson has pulled completely away from Castro now after that bumping that they had on the back straight over here. Now it's going to be all down to what Toth can do in the next couple of corners. The white flag has been waved, as Matthew mentioned. And it all comes down to this. Just a few corners left. Who will take the final spot of the podium? It looks confirmed for Pala. It looks confirmed for Hooverson. But it's very unconfirmed at this point of time for third.
It is indeed. Coming down to the final couple of corners. Critchell's had a moment somewhere because he's lost out to DePaulo. So's Wets as well. He's down to 12th place. But this is Toth. 3 corners to go. This, though, is your race leader who, since taking the lead, has been absolutely dominant in this one. Pala, at the moment, going to extend that championship gap in this season. Going into the week break with 3 races to go. Pala looks like he's going to take the win. Toth can't do anything about it. Through the final corner they go. It's going to be Pala who wins the second race here at Watkins Glen. Hooverson will take a good second place. Castro hangs on for that podium. From Toth, Karen, Polasek, and then Zane Smith down in 7th place. Russell Soto will come across for 8th. But what a race, Chris, that was. Drama all the way through. And the drama's not finished. Contact there. That is Hayden Swank spun around. And he's just collected one of the golden pigeons there, who's now also gone backwards. That is out of Jack Lindner. And they're also going to lose out. Who's out? That's Mike Mann, I believe, coming through to try and pick up not 1, maybe even 2 positions.
Yeah, they're going to watch out. Mike Mann's got that nitrous tank of roasted records of beans in the background there. And as you can see, he's ready to go, because he's seen the mistake happen and he's not going to let it just go to waste. He makes 1 position up. Don't think it's going to be enough, though, to catch on to the back of Swank. Super unfortunate there. If we can get a quick, we'll probably get a quick replay of just what happened there, but it looks like someone took a little bit of a heroic dive on the inside of Swank there and just sent him spinning. And now Mike Mann takes 24th position with Linda in 25th. A little bit of a replay, though, just to see what happens here. You can see Swank there on the outside line. Who's on the inside line of him there? That is definitely not jump worthy. And someone just jumps completely overboard there. That looks like Tyler Campbell, who just dives completely up on the inside of 2 cars. And very, very unfortunate over there. Campbell just not making a good decision, unfortunately. Wiping out 2 drivers in 1 move. And just not making the right move, as we just mentioned over there. Not the greatest and not the cleanest that we've seen. You can see how far he is. I mean, my goodness, he's not even wheel to wheel. And just decides, hold on, I see a gap. As long as I'm ahead at the apex, this is legal. And Campbell just not making that one clean and takes out 2 drivers with him coming into the final lap of the race.
Day late and $1 short. I think the saying is for that one. Well, what a second race. What a Watkins Glen we've seen here. Week break before we head into the final 3. Mount Panorama of Bathurst will be the first of them 3 in a fortnight's time. Chris, that was entertaining. How's the nerves? How's the nails? We chewed them down to the bare minimum.
Yeah, no, it was definitely an action-packed race in multiple positions, and it's just, man, I love it. I love every minute of it.
Final results
Yeah,
then. Ballas Pala, Tristan, the race winner from Gregory Hooverson, Andre Castro, P3 from David Toth. And it's Andrew Carron, Michael Polisic, Zane Smith, Russell Soto, Nick DePaula and Lucas Souza rounds out the top 10. Chris Wetz from Thomas Critchell. Zoe Ahmed, better race too for him, up in 13th place from Tyrone Roberts. Jesse Laverin, Tyler King, Cameron Brown and Anthony Jenkins, your top 18.
Yeah, following on from 18th, Alessandro Torcio, unfortunately, starting second, having a bit of a spin around, back to 19th for him. Kyle Robertson, Miles Brown, Tyler Campbell in 22nd, Hayden Swank, who we just saw getting spun around. Mike Mann made the position up, and Jack Lindner also getting spun around there at the end. Jonathan Laures and Kingston Mullings, 26th and 27th. Alan Ware, 28th, with Rain Woodside and Kamari Odom actually finishing this race this time, which is great to see. Anthony Cuthbert in 31st, Lewis Holloway in 32nd, Cam Carraway in 33rd, and then Xavier Bulliner, Andrew Ewan, and Nicholas Laubish not starting this race for race number 2. Super unfortunate to see, but it does unfortunately happen. But my goodness, guys, what a second race it has been here for Watkins Glen.
Couple of drivers waiting in the interview room. Let's get Jesse Laverin in for a quick chat. Jesse, good evening. You are live on the league by Foxxtecca. Just talk us through your race this evening. P15 in that second race, no positions gained nor lost. Not a bad result, 15th place.
It was probably the cleanest race of the league so far, so I'm happy with where I ended up. The first race was absolutely chaos at the top of the S's. I don't know how I survived. I split 2 cars and somehow came out unscathed. But it was some good battles early on, and then the race just kind of fell into position. And it was just keeping it clean, keeping it consistent at that point.
Keeping it clean, keeping it consistent. You say about the chaos in race 1. Just talk us through what had happened there at the top of the S's.
We made it through turn 1 pretty clean, and then some coming up the S's, and I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, there's cars everywhere. I somehow managed to split 2 cars and come out unscathed. I don't know how that happened, but it was a lot of skill and concentration, I guess, or just luck at that point to finally get past lap 1 without too much damage.
Well, let's go with skill and concentration over luck.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Pure skill. Watkins Glen, how have you found tonight overall?
It's one of my better tracks. So it's something I'm super comfortable on. I think overall the racing's getting better from where we saw in race 1. I think people are starting to settle in and look at the scope of the race past lap 1, which is nice to see. So the racing's getting cleaner. I think it's getting a little bit more courteous too. So overall, I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward to next week at Okayama and seeing where we can go from here.
2 weeks actually till Bathurst. Week off next week, so we've got
we are off next week. Okay,
fortnight for Mount Panorama. So it's a hard one to go into, isn't it, Bathurst?
That's another one of my favorites. I think we're looking at going down the hill backside through the chicanes there and through those tight turns. We're going to see more chaos. It's going to be hard not to. I think people are going to get eager. That first lap, cold tires, if we're not warmed up properly. So I'm hoping everyone can get in enough practice and get in enough, tire temp beforehand to keep from blocking them. Because if 1 or 2 cars go, we're all piled up, through that section on the backside of the mountain there. So we'll see. It should be entertaining either way. Hopefully it's clean, but if not, hopefully the chaos helps some of us out in the mid pack there.
Indeed. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Just my entire team here at Cameron Caster. We're a motorsport collective here in San Diego. We got one of our drivers, Lewis Holloway, running with us in this league. He had a little bit of a rough race this go around, but he's running real consistent, and we're happy to see what we can do against some really stiff competition. There's some pros here, there's some seasoned veterans, so it's nice to compare ourselves to people out there who are doing this on a professional level.
Indeed. Well, Jesse, congratulations tonight. Good racing from yourself. We'll catch you in a fortnight's time at Bathurst.
Thanks a lot. See you guys in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Jesse.
That was Jesse Laverin there then for a quick chat. Tristan, who would you like to bring in?
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Mr. Kingston Mullings. Kingston, welcome into the commentary box. You're live here on Apex Racing TV. What are your thoughts after Watkins Glen? The Glen showed some flames, and how did the race go for you?
Yeah, it was really fun. Heat 1, I did really good. I made up 5 positions, off the start, like I did in Monza. I was pretty proud of myself because I didn't have a lot of practice on that car track combo. I think I only had like 2 hours, so I feel like I did really good. And then the second race, uh, typical turn one incident or lap one incident. Just spun and had a little bit of damage for the rest of the race, but I just kept going to push through it because I saw I forgot who it was, but somebody in Monza finished top 10 with damage on their car, and I was like, if they can do it, then I can do it. And obviously, I didn't finish top 10, but I didn't do as bad as I thought I would with the damage, so it was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk us through the evolution of the car. Obviously, you mentioned you had a little bit of damage, and we've seen a couple of drivers actually nursing this car home after damage. So how did the car? Well, like, I mean, what's the main feeling points after losing some of the parts of the vehicle?
Um, I think it's just understeer depending on what side you have the damage on. See, for me, I had the damage on the right hand side, and it was just really hard through those right-handers because I just lose a ton of grip, and I just probably have to hold the brake a little bit longer just to keep the weight on the fronts to be able to make the corner. And then of course with tire wear, that always gives you a little bit more understeer. So just adjusting with the track and tires, and of course the damage, it makes it really makes you definitely get your adaptability levels up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've definitely improved from week one all the way up until week five. But in 2 weeks' time, we have a week's break next week. But 2 weeks' time, we head to Bathurst. And not too sure if you've done the Bathurst combo here before with the McLaren, but not the easiest track combo out there. How are you feeling for Mount Panorama?
I've never ran that track, so I'm pretty optimistic, but I'm not necessarily nervous. I do like that. I've seen a lot of, especially with the 12-hour. So I mean, it looks like really fun racing there. I mean, very like there's barely any room for mistakes, so you definitely have to stay really focused because I whenever I usually look at Max Verstappen's pole lap there on iRacing that he did just to help me out.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely. It's always a good reference to find from other people who have done it. But
Matt
thank you so much
Verstappen, though.
for
You went straight to the top of the mountain for that.
straight to the top. Yeah, absolutely. You always got to look for the best around the mountain over there. Definitely a good name to look out for. But thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box. Is there anything you'd like to say or anybody you'd like to shout out just before you head out?
I want to shout out my parents because they invested in me and they were the ones who got me the sim rig, and without them, I wouldn't be here right now, um, especially with funding and karting and all of this. So I just want to say a big shout out to my mom, my dad. You guys are the best. I love you all. Thank you.
It's incredible stuff there with the family dynamics. It's always a lovely thing to see. But thank you so much, Kingston, for joining us in the commentary box. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Bathurst. Have a good one, man.
You too.
Alrighty, and I believe it is your turn, Chris, to pull up somebody and have a bit of a chat.
Let's talk to
Who'd you like to
Kamari.
pull up? All right, let's have it.
Kamari, you're in there?
Yes, guys, I'm here.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome to another week. Tell me how it went for you.
Oh man, well, I didn't have any practice or qualifying. Kind of came in kind of late, but I mean, pretty clean race for me. It was chaos in the second race since the first race I missed everything. So I was like, you know what, I'll just stay in for race two, and it was really clean, very fun. Had some battles with some teammates, and it's just been a lot of fun and enjoying it all and soaking it all in. So.
How's it feel being out there with your teammates?
Just enjoying it, man. Being competitive with them. I know I'm not the greatest in this car at the moment, but this is one of my favorite GT3s. So to always go out and have fun with them, it's always good to just compete against each other and against other guys I've seen in different leagues. It's always cool to just see their pace and what I can learn from them. So that's been really fun.
Awesome. We got a week off. What are you going to do with this time off?
I'm just going to keep training. That's the best I honestly can do. Keep training, keep getting better.
Also, want to give a shout out to anybody?
First off, I want to shout out Apex Racing TV. Long time been watching you all. Really appreciate the broadcast, everything you guys do. I want to say big shout out to Chris Harris. He's the one that kind of invited me to do this. So I want to say big shout out to you, all my teammates, all my partners. And yeah, thanks guys for the wonderful racing each week. And I'm excited.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right. Thank you.
Let's get Lewis Holloway in the chat. Lewis, welcome to the commentary box. You're live on the league by Foxxtecca. Some interesting racing out there tonight.
Yes, absolutely. I'm definitely better racing for me in race 1. Race 2 was a little bit different, but race 1 was definitely a lot better for me today.
Just talk us through a little bit what happened in that second race.
Yeah, second race, just lap 2 coming into turn 1, racing against Tyler King there, and just the slightest nudge from me to the right while he was still just right there in my rear bumper. So I ended up spinning myself out and unfortunately took out, I think, Anthony Cuthbert as well in the process. So thankfully Tyler didn't ruin his entire race, but Anthony, unfortunately, we both got taken out there.
Watkins Glen, the track temp seemed a little high tonight. Seemed like that played a bit of a factor in the tyres on this McLaren. We're just seeing that clip going into turn 1 at the moment on screen. But yeah, not a lot you could do there. Sideways on the grass, it was never really going to slow you down, was it?
Yeah, I was hoping that, getting sideways there, that it'd slow me just enough, but you see there, just bang right into Anthony and, right into the line of fire. So he didn't do anything wrong. Tyler, I don't, didn't do anything wrong. It's just, to me, just a mistake on my part, and really just goes to show how the margin of error can be so slim with this type of racing. The competition is so fierce, it's tight. So any, small mistake like that can just completely take you out. So
we go to Bathurst in 2 weeks' time, a bit of a week off. You get that extra week to sort of get some preparation time in for it. What do you think to Bathurst, Mount Panorama? What can you do around there?
That one is going to be a new track for me. I've seen some videos, seen some course guides as well. So I think that one is just going to really be, if of all the races so far on the calendar, I think that's going to be the biggest one. That staying clean and keeping your eyes up and ahead to watch out for damage ahead, especially on the first couple laps, is really going to be key to surviving the first couple laps, and then keeping it going through the rest. Keeping the tires in temperature. You don't want to overheat there at all, and really be struggling for tire temps. So really just going to be staying clean first couple of laps, really keeping an eye, especially in some of those tight turns coming downhill, and from there just managing the race out.
Anybody you'd like to thank finally today?
As always, shout out to Camper and Caster, Jesse Laverin, who was also in the race today, got a really good finish. Shout out my friends and family watching home at here in Mira Mesa in California, and looking forward. Thank you guys, Foxxtecca, Apex Racing. Thank you guys for supporting and doing all that you do. So yeah, looking forward to Bathurst in a couple of weeks. Talk to you guys then.
Talk to you guys. Talk to you then, Lewis. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Mount Panorama.
Thank you. Bye.
Tristan, crazy to see a couple of drivers saying that they've never driven Bathurst. This could be a spicy race in 2 weeks' time.
I'm worried, Matthew. I'm worried. I was even speaking to the driver I spoke to just now, and obviously Kingston saying he's never driven Bathurst before. I was hoping to just hear, I've never driven the combo before, but when I heard I've never driven Bathurst before, I immediately just got trauma from the first time I drove Bathurst. Yeah, it's not a good track in terms of if you're a beginner. It's definitely not an arrive and drive. You will arrive into a wall and you will not drive. So yeah, definitely want to note. But let's have a quick chat with Mr. Gregory Hooverson, who obviously had some eventful up and downs there in the second race. Greg, welcome into the commentary box here at the League by Foxxtecca. Just talk us through the night. How did race 1 and race 2 go for you?
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, race 1 was fine. Can't really pass up at the front, just with the dirty air and just a bit of a draft train. So made the move on Andrew in 1, and then basically just procession from there. And then race 2 was a lot more fun per se. Yeah, had a good start. And then I guess Pala sent one on me and made contact. Dropped back quite a few spots. It's just a little unnecessary, but we lived. Yeah, saw a lot of stuff in front of me and just picked my moments. Made some fun moves, I guess, and finished second. I guess it's pretty good, second and third on the day. Didn't really prep at all, so I'll take it from a team that's, I'm assuming, prepping and doing all the qualifying strats, etc. I'll take it.
And we're looking now on the stream, just that the little bit of contact you had there with Castro, the bumping on the back straight. Just talk us through what was happening over there.
Oh yeah, so the toe is pretty crazy going up the hill, so you can almost get, alongside at the little kink before you get to the main straightaway. And yeah, I just made sure I stayed door handle with him and tried to at least leave him there up until the braking zone. But I guess he didn't fully love the box in and sort of tried to push me back out. And then you can see it worked on the second lap because I guess he learned that I wasn't going to move in anticipation at least. So yeah, got it done around the outside, proper scent, and yeah, we're good.
Incredible stuff. But we head to Bathurst in 2 weeks, and I think just talking to someone, obviously you're a little bit more experienced. We've spoken to some guys tonight who say they've never driven Bathurst before. Give us a little bit of insight as to what Bathurst can be like for a beginner.
Yeah, it's a daunting one. All the guys up at the front, we've all done the 12-hour special on iRacing quite a few times. So we have lots and lots and lots of laps. So it sort of just gets second nature. But learning the track is really tough. There's so many little nuances and light little braking zones and the heavy braking zones. You got to be really precise because the walls will eat you. But at the same time, you can't be too scared or safe on the downhill, especially because you just lose so much time. Yeah, the difference really will be on who can send it over the top of the mountain quickest, and hopefully then not hit the wall in Forest Elbow on the run down the Conrad.
Yeah, absolutely. But anything you want to say or anybody you want to give a shout out to just before heading out tonight?
Yeah, of course, always Apex Racing Academy. We're all prepping for the Indy 6-hour coming up this weekend. So yeah, this was definitely bottom priority, but the boys have done a good job letting me do the race for a couple hours tonight. And then have a couple friends in Discord hanging out, watching the stream as well. So shout out to those guys as well. And yeah, good fun tonight. Thanks, guys.
How's
Incredible
the
stuff.
feedback been from your group as far as the league goes? I know you race in a lot of different leagues and bigger leagues, but how's the feedback been so far?
If you wanted a show, yeah, you got it. It's exciting. There's stuff happening everywhere. So in that regard, it's great. Up at the front where I like to be, there's been some stuff here and there, but no, all in all, I think it's been a good show per se.
Gotcha. Love it.
Incredible stuff. But thank you so much, Greg. We'll see you next week. Sorry, we'll see you in 2 weeks at Mount Panorama. I hope you have a great night, and we'll see you.
Yeah, you as well, guys. Thanks, guys.
I think we might just have time for one last quick interview. So, Chris, Tyrone Roberts or Rain, who would you like to speak with?
Get Rain in.
There you go.
There you go.
Rain Woodside, how's everything?
Hey Chris, how you guys doing?
Good. How was your day today?
It's been alright.
Tell me about the race. Tell me how you felt. I know you got caught up in a bit of you were kind of a victim of some other carnage going on. Talk to us about your race today.
Yeah, Heat 1 was a bit crazy for me. I don't know what was going on, but coming up through the S's, some guy brake checked us, and I ended up getting damaged in Heat 1. So that was a little bit disappointing, but I was able to have a good battle with I can't remember his name, but I remember it was like a black and red McLaren. But I was a bit happy with Heat 1, but just the start was a little bit disappointing. But I'm kind of glad I was able to just nurse the car home and get a good finish. And then Heat 2 was really not the best one for me. Actually, I'm just looking at the replay now of me getting hit into the walls. That's a bit embarrassing, but yeah, my mission was just to finish the race. That's all.
Now, listen, sometimes you can't help what happens in the race, but you were out there and you're sticking it out and you were fighting. So you're part of some really good battles here today.
Yeah.
Bathurst in 2 weeks. Thoughts on that track? Have you raced there before?
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's my top favorite track, but it's a track that tests you, real life and in a sim. it's a tight track, and you have to like be on your p's and q's of the track like that. So am I nervous? Not so much. That's just it's now for me time for me to just prepare myself for a daunting track like that, because anything can happen with a track like that. Anything.
Anybody want to give a shout out to?
Um, I want to give a shout out to my mother because I was just on the phone with her and we and her just talking. She's like my life coach, and she also coaches me about how to always practice hard and watch people lines and whatnot. So I want to give a shout out to my mother.
Knows best. Mom knows best. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That is all we have time for this evening. Watkins Glen in the bag, 5 weeks of racing done and dusted. A little week off and a little break before what I'm going to predict early is the chaos of Mount Panorama Bathurst. But you never know. It could be one of the chaos-free nights that we get this season. 3 rounds left to go here. Bathurst, Okayama, and then Road Atlanta. Chris, thank you once again for joining myself and Tristan in the commentary box. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's been awesome. Big shout out to our sponsors, the Roasted Record, African American Automotive Association, and guys at Apex Racing TV for the awesome broadcast. Look forward to seeing you guys again in 2 weeks.
And Tristan, once again, Watkins Glen has provided some great drama here at the league by Foxxtecca in season 1. We head in 2 weeks' time to Bathurst. What are we expecting there?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep my mind open for Bathurst. It's a little bit of a hard one to try and think about. We've got obviously a hugely diverse grid of drivers, which is awesome to see. But the mountain is where you become a bit of a man in sim racing. It's definitely one of the harder tracks, especially like Nordschleifer and like Le Mans. It's one of the more technical tracks, and it's a great entry into the world of endurance racing, I think. So definitely going to be cool to see what the drivers can do there. But on to 2 weeks. And everybody, hope you guys all enjoy the 1 week break, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Watkins Glen in the bag. 5 weeks of action has been given out in plenty for you all to watch and enjoy. But we head down under to the mountain, the treacherous mountain, in a fortnight's time. We'll see you there. Goodbye.